My name is Dulce Valencia, and welcome to Telenovelascondulce, a podcast where every week I invite special guests to break down the telenovelas we love, from the music to the cast to the unforgettable plot twist.
Every slap, every imbécile, every secret twin.
I have got you covered. Bienvenidos and welcome to another episode of Telenovelascondulce. My name is Dulce Valencia and I am your host. And joining me again for her fourth time, we've been doing this a month.
We're not even halfway through.
Joining me again is my dear friend Aranza Alexandra Marmolejo Ramirez.
I corrected her because this is the third time now that we're recording this intro because why, Dulce?
I have a cat outside of my apartment that has been desperately trying to get in.
Literally knocking on the door, like right at her doorstep.
I think he's my neighbor's cat. I saw him in my neighbor's balcony a few days ago and he keeps meowing at me.
And guys, this is the most talkative cat I've ever heard. He wouldn't shut up.
And I don't know what the protocol is. And I don't have anything to offer him. My apartment is not baby proof, let alone cat proof right
It's like
now.
the opposite of baby
It's very artsy. But yeah, this is our third time recording this, so hopefully third time's a charm. And we are back to continue talking about the 2010 iconic telenovela, Teresa. And it's our 10th episode, so I am celebrating this milestone with my dear friend Aranza. It just feels right. Kim,
we need
you're here in spirit.
Yeah, we need like a fake clapping audience, like the sitcom.
I think I'm gonna see if I can add the sound effect. So yes, 10th episode. Thank you all so much for listening. If you're listening and you haven't left a review yet, go leave a review. You can do it on Apple iTunes, Apple Podcasts. So leave a review. And if you want to stay connected, follow us on TikTok, follow us on Instagram, follow us on Twitter. I'm not as active on Twitter, so TikTok or Instagram are your best bets. But as is customary on this podcast, we are going to talk about the stars and constellations before we get into the episode. Aranza.
So yesterday was the full pink moon, although it wasn't really pink. I forgot why they called it that, but it was a full moon in Scorpio last night. Depending on where you were, it peaked at different hours. Here, we actually went up to a park and watched her in all her glory. She's so bright. And like I said, it was in Scorpio, so whatever deep thoughts that you might be thinking of and have been bothering you or have been on your mind for like the past few days and even the upcoming days, you should pay attention to those and really reflect. It's a time of, they say, death and rebirth of like just old and bad habits and people that you should let go of, that you know are no good for you, and also like really appreciative of the things that do serve you in life.
I love that. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Aranza, our resident astrology expert.
Oh my goodness.
You really are. So, I am starting a YouTube channel. I have been posting the podcast episodes as YouTube videos. So if for some reason you prefer YouTube, they're now available on YouTube. I'll link it up in the show notes. But I'm also going to be making more content. And one of them is going to be basically guessing telenovela characters' zodiac signs. So with Aranza, I want to do the Teresa characters. Yeah. So stay tuned for that. I'll have the link. Go subscribe. Go support.
Are you going to tell them about the live thing?
Okay, I'm just going to start giving you all announcements at the beginning of the episode. So another announcement. I'm about to hit 10,000 followers on TikTok. And to celebrate, next week's episode is going to be live streamed on Tuesday on TikTok. So if you want to tune in, go follow me on TikTok. And yeah, we'll see you there. It's the first time we're going to be doing it. I'm testing with the platform to see how it works, but it should be a lot of fun. You get to see the chaos.
Yeah, there's so much chaos. Like the cat.
And speaking of TikTok, last week Aranza suggested that I have comments of the week for my podcast. And I opened my TikTok up for comments about Teresa. So here are this week's comments of the week. And stay tuned because that's going to be a recurring segment now.
All right, let's hear it.
If you remember, in last week's episode, we talked a lot about the psychology of Teresa and why she's so evil and what makes her the way she is. So I asked my TikTok followers, what makes Teresa so evil? And here's what people had to say. Oh, this is actually sweet. This has nothing...
What they say, what...
This comment has nothing to do with Teresa, but at Che_L said, just added your podcast to my playlist. I have a long commute, so I'm excited to have something new to listen. Thank you so much, and I hope you're enjoying it. And yeah, thank you. At Hey It's Priscilla said, she's evil because she betrays the ones closest to her to get ahead. Even Mariano, her true love. And to this I say, was Mariano her true love? We'll see.
Yeah, I can get into that too.
Yeah.
We should talk about that.
Right now?
No, you keep reading your comments, but I'll put it in the garden.
Let's put it in the bike rack.
Yeah.
Organizer talk. At Jenny_GOO said, I'm excited to check it out. Teresa was for sure motivated by greed that came from living in a low socioeconomic status community. I don't think she's listened to the episode because I posted this when the episode came out. But that's basically what we got into. So yeah, agreed. At m.gar1 said, I am so in love with your podcast. Thanks, girl. Teresa is so evil because she hates living in a poor vecindad and wants to spoil herself with dresses.
I think there's more.
I think there's more too. I think, yes, she hates being poor, but there's more to it. But the dresses, we're gonna talk about one specific dress in this episode. So yeah. And then this comment this person asked a different question at JJC_FS said, what do you think are the saddest endings for villains? What happened to Elisabetta at the end of Pasión really left a mark on me. So I don't think you ever watched this telenovela, but at the end, the villain, she's blind, but she was like a horrible human being. And at the end, she gets separated from her aunt, who is the only person that, cared for her. And her ending is her not being able to walk, dragging herself through the desert.
I think I have watched this then.
Really?
It's like ringing a bell, yeah.
Yeah, so it's actually very sad, and her aunt also has gone off the rail and is always looking for her and being like, mi Elisabetta, ¿dónde está Elisabetta? And carries a doll that she calls Elisabetta. So they have a really bad ending. They're just left poor and alone.
Wow.
And poor and alone.
Let's get into it.
So thank you all who commented on my TikTok post, and stay tuned for whatever new prompt I'm going to give you all for next week. But yeah, now we're just going to start diving into the plot of Teresa. We have to call ourselves out because...
I'm calling Dulce out because I honestly could have gone to what we promised the viewers and listeners. But I knew that Dulce has a very busy life, which I still don't know how she does it. She's a Sagittarius. She keeps herself busy. But I kind of knew that you weren't going to get to the full episode. So I was like, why am I going to start early in the day? Because I had all day to listen. But I didn't even start until like 4 p.m. And I could have still gotten to like episode 50. Shame on you. Shame her. Shame her.
I'm hiding my face in shame because, yes, I overwork myself and ¿cómo se dice? I put too much on my plate. I know that. If I'm not doing anything, I feel like I'm being a failure at my life. So.
Ouch.
No, not you. This is not healthy.
I know.
I constantly take on way too much. And I'm acknowledging it right now.
You'll find your balance.
I'll find my balance someday. I don't know when, but I'll find it. And so this is a long-winded way of saying I only got to episode 47. Well, really, I got to episode 44, but I watched the important part I wanted us to watch in 47. We're going to be talking about Teresa, episodes 36 to 47.
It's going to take a while to get to the end, girl. But fear not. Listeners, I got you. I have things to talk about.
Yeah, we have things to talk about. And I keep saying before, but all right. So when we last left off, Teresa and Arturo had confessed their love for each other, and one's love is stronger than the other's. And we see the repercussions of that. Mariano is upset. Aurora doesn't know anything, bless her heart. And Teresa's parents have different reactions. Refugio is super unsupportive, and she continues being that, by the way. Like, Every YouTube comment is like, this woman
I know.
just getting in the way of her daughter.
Every single conversation that they have with her, regardless of good or bad intentions on Teresa's part, you know, it's just very uncalled for, I think, which we've already gone into her.
Her dad is trying his best to be supportive. He deserves so much more than he's getting. And before we start getting into this week's plot, we want to talk about something that came up after we had finished recording last week's episode that we want to talk about. That is pretty privilege. Aranza, take it away.
Okay, so we got into this last night. I forgot why we were talking about it, but then when we were talking about it, how do I say this? We were talking about pretty privilege without bringing up novelas, but as soon as we were talking about it, I was like Teresa, and there's a lot of it. There's a lot of things that are unsaid, but we want to talk about it because just like, you know, the colorism and machismo and all those ugly things that present themselves in novelas, I want to get into it. So, pretty privilege. We know people that are pretty get certain privileges. And this phenomenon is like so crazy to me because, and it changes, right? We know that pretty people get paid more. They have an easier time with certain things. And Teresa is very pretty. And this brings me back to how Dulce always says, I would have loved to see Teresa go as far as she could without having to like bring Arturo into it, really, like see how far she could have gone on her own, because she could have gone pretty far, I think. But what do we even talk about?
Yeah, I think because Teresa in whatever universe would have gone far, I believe. But if Teresa didn't look like Angelique Boyer and she looked like a regular person, would Arturo have even helped her? Would she had gone far? Because like you mentioned, pretty people get paid more, they get more jobs, they get more job interviews, they have easier access to things. And it's a real thing.
Yeah, I remember even in high school, the popular kids, they had certain privileges, man. Like they would be doing whatever, running around the hallways, and like certain teachers and certain security at my high school would be like, okay. Bleh.
It's like people seek validation from pretty people.
It's deeply rooted into so many things. It's a worldwide phenomenon, which is so crazy because it's racism and it's society standards, and they always change, you know, just like the concepts of beauty and just how trends come back and they, you know, they're out of trend. Like right now, it's the big butts, and we were getting in. Oh, that's what we were getting into yesterday. So, if you guys, obviously they don't know. Can I? I don't know. I can't give you permission.
If you're comfortable talking about it,
So
we
maybe
can talk about it.
I'll just say me. I recently I recently got a BBL. If you guys don't know what a BBL is, it's a Brazilian butt lift. Basically, you get fat taken out of anywhere that you don't want, and they put it in your butt. And we were talking about that last night, and we were like, did we give in to society standards? My answer was just no. Like, I wanted a big butt ever since I could remember. But you do have to ask yourself these things, you know, like people who ran to get lip filler after Kylie went viral for overlining her lips and she swore she didn't do anything. And I think that's what my problem with influencers is, people who aren't transparent. And I've always been transparent about it. I feel like if I don't tell people right away that I got a BBL after they compliment me, girl, this was not earned at the gym. This was made by a surgeon. But yeah, I think that's my problem with influencers in society. Like, they don't want to tell you the truth, which is why I think social media can be harmful. Just like the recent thing that went on with Khloe Kardashian with her whole picture debacle. I don't know if you guys know, but basically Khloe Kardashian got a picture taken of her in like a very unflattering angle, which unflattering angle to her is like me on a good day. So it wasn't even that bad. It's just like shadows and taken from a weird angle. Remember, it's all lighting and angles. She had like her whole team working on it, and all of that work just to get a picture taken down, when in reality we should be embracing these bodies and just, you know, stretch marks, cellulite, all that should be normalized. But unfortunately, I don't think we're gonna get there anytime soon. And you know, think about like Lizzo. You know, people love to attack Lizzo for the most idiotic things, what she eats. But here we have Saweetie and like skinny models that they put in commercials eating burgers. You know, like I'm still skinny and I can eat all this. But the second someone obese or overweight by society's norms is eating a certain way, people like to attack them. I'm going on a whole rant, but basically how this ties into Teresa is because she is pretty, she has all these things. She has everything almost, because she uses everyone again as chess pieces to her advantage. And without those things, she wouldn't have gone to the university that she wanted to. She wouldn't have gone her computadora.
Yeah, and there's a conversation that Refugio, Teresa's mom, has with Teresa's dad, Don Armando, where they talk, where Refugio calls him out and says, you made her believe that she deserved everything because she was pretty. And so they address it a little bit in the telenovela. It's brushed over. But yeah, I don't think Teresa would have gotten everything she got if she wasn't pretty. Because as much as Arturo's intentions were noble when he offered her the scholarship or offered to pay for her schooling, yes, her smarts, her brains had something to do with it, but he's helped many other students, and Teresa's the only one that he's talking about making a partner, that he is crossing boundaries for. Yeah, she's beautiful. And like you said, it's racism too, because Teresa is a very white Latina. I mean, Angelique Boyer is French.
And I'm thinking right now, we don't have that many like brown people in the novela.
No, we don't.
They're tan, but...
And there's a difference between tan and brown. On TikTok, there's people that call out the colorism in telenovelas, but there's people that argue with them and are like, oh, but you know this person, this actor, and it's like, no.
Can I call out white Latinos?
Yes. And we're two white Latinas.
Yeah, this is coming from two white Latinas, okay? So if you're asked what your race is, you're white if you are a white skin color. And people, I don't know why people confuse ethnicity with race. I don't know. This is what I see I see it on Twitter every day. I always want to get into like an argument with a white Latino every day because they swear they're not white. They're spicy white. I'm like, girl, no, you are white. Therefore, you have that kind of white privilege. Yeah, you can be undocumented.
Hello,
hi.
Welcome.
We exist. But yeah, like, you have to acknowledge that when people say that, it really bothers me because it's like they're playing like I'm oppressed too, like, which yes, but not to an extent where you're racially profiled by the color of your skin.
Yes, but also go to Mexico. I mean, we can't, but
you guys go. Let us know.
Go to Mexico.
Social experiment.
If you're white, you are going to be called beautiful. You are going to be told not to go out in the sun because you'll ruin your beautiful skin. You're going to be told that you're more desirable. If you are brown, they're going to tell you to rub limones on your body because that takes away the brownness. They're going to call you mugroso. And because myself and my brother and sister, we're all different shades. Like, I'm white. My brother is brown. My sister is somewhere in the middle. My brother, when we were growing up, I would find him like scrubbing his skin because our family, also brown, would make his skin something that was ugly. Whereas me, I was applauded for having white skin, which I have no control over, which he had no control over. My skin was more desirable, and it's horrible.
Yeah, I was the whitest baby in my family back in Mexico. And yeah, like it's very like, it's really sad, but it's just like how people tweet like, oh, I might be a 4 here, but in Mexico I'm an 8 because I'm white. Like, it's true. Like, over there, I don't know. It's weird. weird.
It is. So go to Mexico and just see how you're treated differently, because as we mentioned, I don't think I've ever talked about this on the podcast, but I'm undocumented, so is Aranza. We will probably never be questioned over our legal status ever.
Yeah, actually, remember that one time we went to Joshua Tree? We were gonna go ask a guy.
We needed firewood.
We needed firewood. And it was very sketchy. So we were like, and it was a group of 4. It was Kim, Dulce, and Kevin. And Kevin and Kim are brown. They're U.S. citizens though. But Dulce and I are white, but we're undocumented.
So out of these, in this sketchy place, it was me and Aranza who were the most likely, the safest option to go ask
A
for
stranger.
firewood.
Yeah. So that's what we did. We approached the stranger. Very welcoming Canadian.
Another immigrant. We're everywhere.
Yeah. But, just to be safe, because you never know.
Yeah, and that's ridiculous. It's wild. Because we're the undocumented ones, but yet our skin gives us a shield that our citizen friends don't even have.
Yeah, and we can keep talking about this because you've also never mentioned this, I don't think, but we're basically like nonprofit organizers. So we're in this space, and that's all. This is just how our brains work. With everything, we just see like the racism and like just how ugly society really is.
It's rough out here. And so I always say this as someone who loves telenovelas, I can't love them without acknowledging at the very least internalized racism and colorism that exists within these telenovelas that I love. And there's a lot of it.
It's not just in novelas. Like I think we're just now getting to the point where people are starting to call out the Grammys and the Oscars. How are we just now getting the first minority, whatever, X minority group winning like X award? Like that's ridiculous. But we should be calling out and keeping these big industries accountable.
With that in mind, we're going to start digging into the plot of Teresa, episodes 36 to 47. So, when we last left off, Teresa and Arturo were together as boyfriend and girlfriend, and things were moving very, very fast. There were talks about an engagement and marriage. Meanwhile, Luisa is off to Cancun with Arturo's friend, Fernando, a new character we got introduced to. This is gonna leave Teresa alone with Arturo in this beautiful mansion.
Not alone though, because Doña Refugio will not allow it. Right away.
Escándalo.
Yeah, right away she does an escándalo. But Teresa is like, no pienses así. Me voy a llevar a mi madrina. So Juana la acompaña. But that wasn't really planned. It was just kind of like in the heat of the moment. Don't think like that. But it's just like, why is she like that?
Because Teresa, remember, it's chess.
No, I'm talking about Doña.
Oh, girl. I think it's because they have very conservative values. I mean, even Doña Juana, Teresa's madrina, was also like, you cannot be with him alone in his mansion. And I mean, honestly, think of our moms. I know my mom would never allow me to be alone.
Yeah.
So it's a cultural thing. And so then Doña Juana goes to live with Teresa, and Cudberto's heartbroken. Cudberto is Doña Juana's pretendiente, the guy who's in love with her, and he's very heartbroken. It's really touching and funny. But before that they can go off and live at the mansion, we get a fist fight. We get a fist fight between Arturo and Mariano. And of course, it's instigated by Mariano. He goes up to Arturo, who's walking into the vecindad with big flowers for Teresa, and I think it's actually for Refugio. But he's walking in the vecindad with big flowers, and then Mariano goes up to him and it like pushes him and punches him. They get into a fight over Teresa.
Throughout the whole episodes that we see, that's just the theme of it all, is Teresa playing with Mariano, making him think that he can still be an option for her. And she's like the scales, remember, that Dulce talked about, like she's really weighing out her options, and she always makes sure that she has options to fall back on. Like she really has plan A, plan B, plan C, dude. But yeah, so throughout the whole episodes, we see this. And in between those lines, there's Aurora, which she finally tells Teresa that she's going to pursue Mariano. And she actually tells Teresa during lunch. And Teresa just loses it. She's like, you can't do this to me. Like, you're my best friend. Girl code. I get that, right? Like, Teresa, like, I mean, I wouldn't want my best friend dating my ex either. Like, that's just no. That's no. But at the same time, from the beginning, Teresa had told Aurora that she was not in love with Mariano, that she could go for him. Like, she was like, oh, please, like, get him off my back. And now that Aurora is like trying in like the best respectful way, like, first I'm gonna be his friend, she has a whole plan, right? But no, Teresa like storms out and she goes to tell everyone like, Aurora's doing this to me, like, and she's supposed to be my best friend, blah, blah, blah.
And this is all prompted because Arturo and Teresa get engaged. So we get 2 engagements. One between Arturo and Teresa and one between Aida and Paolo. These women always in competition with each other. Yeah, so we get these 2 engagements. And it's really shitty because this is where we start seeing Teresa be a really bad friend. Going back to Aurora. Aurora does not find out about the engagement from Teresa. She finds out about it because Aida tells Aurora. So Aida finds herself in La Vecindad, I believe. Aida and Teresa run into each other. And Teresa talks to Aida about how she's engaged to and shows her the ring. And Aida is like, oh, well, that's a cheap imitation because your taxista could never afford it. And Teresa doesn't correct her. She doesn't correct her because she's playing her cards.
Because she sees Arturo walking into the vecindad. And right in front of Aida, she's like, ay, mi amor, I was just telling Aida about our engagement.
And they kiss. And the reason this is a hit for Aida is because Arturo is like besties with Aida's father. So that means that by Teresa marrying him, Teresa's gonna be in her life forever.
With Aida, she's never been able to take or shake Teresa off her back from high school to college.
Yep. So there's gonna be even more competition, even more rivalry between these 2 as they plan each other's wedding. So all this to say, going back to Aurora, Aida goes and tells Aurora about it because she wants to get more information out of Aurora, but Aurora is not playing into those games. She's like, Aida, no, like, get away from me. But it's really sad because Aurora genuinely loves Teresa and supports her, and it hurts her that Teresa didn't tell her. And then we also get Teresa's master plan. So she's talking to her madrina, and she's talking about how as soon as she's married, she's gonna keep her promise and get her out of the vecindad. And so Teresa has this nice little plan where she says, I'm gonna marry Arturo, Luisa's gonna be married soon, so that means I'm gonna have Arturo and the house to myself, and I'm gonna invite you, madrina, to live with me. And then her madrina is like, well, what about your parents? And she says, no, they're gonna live in their own place. Like, I'll move them closer to me, and I'm gonna open my dad his mechanic shop. And so that's Teresa's plan.
But you missed the whole dark side of Teresa.
Ooh, tell me.
Because she only wants her madrina there, she said, to take care of her kids. 2, with Luisa, she was like, ugh, but Luisa, like, she's not married yet, so the faster she gets married, the faster I'll get that whole house to myself. So she wants Luisa out of the picture. She wants the madrina to take care of her kids. And yeah, like, her parents are just, like, she wants to still hide them.
And remember, her dad right now, he got fired from the mechanic shop, so right now he's been working at the hospital as a janitor, and Teresa is so ashamed of him, and it's so sad. It breaks my heart every time Teresa yells at him for working.
And we also learn during these episodes about Juana's story. So Juana got pregnant at the same time as Doña Refugio, but unfortunately she had like a miscarriage or something. It was just like a difficult pregnancy, so she ended up losing her baby, and that's why Teresa is so important to her, because without Teresa, she said she would have gone crazy. And she shares this later with Aurora's dad when they go on like a little date, which like hurts your heart because it's like she deserves a daughter too, but Teresa's her daughter.
She deserves a better daughter than Teresa.
Yeah. We've talked about it already. Teresa doesn't support her madrina going or letting Cuthberto go after her because she's not of the caliber that she would want for her. But going back to Teresa's friendships, as I was watching, I noticed, I was like, okay, Aurora, Luisa, and even Esperanza, you can say, because she calls them all her besties. The common denominator between the 3 of them is that they don't have, well, with Luisa and Aurora specifically, they don't have moms. And with Esperanza, she doesn't have sisters. So they all don't have sisters, and they all are like, I wish I had a sister. And that makes them the perfect prey for Teresa.
Oh my God.
Which is really sad because they all call her, oh my God, like sisterhood, this, and that. They all confide in her, and Teresa just uses all their information to her advantage. And they, like, throughout all these episodes again, Teresa finally se cobra. So she goes up to Aida and she tells her, like, oh, it's time to pay up, or I can give you a chance to apologize. And Aida, mejor muerta. She's never gonna apologize. So yeah, like Teresa is like scheming up this whole plot.
And she's gonna start cobrando. And as you mentioned, these are Teresa's best friends, but they're not her friends at all. Because last episode we mentioned Teresa being a chismosa and trying to get a picture of Esperanza with Ruben, Aida's dad. Well, in these chunk of episodes, she gets her picture. She gets a very clear picture and has no regard for Esperanza's feelings or for her hopes and dreams. And she makes sure that Aida gets this picture. And so Teresa's venganza is starting. And it begins by shattering Aida's worldview of her father. Because Aida, like Teresa, is also a daddy's girl and has the highest respect for her father. And so this illusion gets shattered immediately when Teresa anonymously sends her pictures of her father with another woman.
Through email
Under the name Lola or something like that. So yeah, so Teresa's starting her revenge, but dear listener, it does not end there. We did not get to it, but her revenge is gonna go even further with Aida.
And she gets her revenge, but it all eventually turns back on her. You know, whatever goes around comes around.
Sticking with Aida though, they're both planning a wedding. They are both rivals. So of course they're gonna clash and they're gonna come face to face because this world is so small. And so we get a scene.
Before that, the reason Teresa is able to do this is because Arturo gives her like her own credit card.
Oh my God.
And again, she has her own allowance now. And yeah, he basically gives her a credit card to like plan the wedding. And to Teresa, this is like cha-ching.
Yeah, like she invites Aurora out to dinner and it's like, esto yo lo pago.
Por primera vez, it's on me.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when she actually tells her.
But then she lies and says, oh, I tried to leave you a voice message, but, couldn't get a hold of you.
Yeah, and this is again where Aurora starts calling Teresa out on her shit. Like, actually, no, you didn't call me, and this is messed up.
Shout out to Aurora for sticking up to herself.
Yeah, finally.
She has a spine. And yeah, she's not letting Teresa get away with it. She calls Teresa out on her bullshit. And so, going back to wedding planning mode, Aida has this wedding dress that she wants. And she walks into the bride store and is like, oh, like I'm here for my dress. And then the lady tells her, oh, I'm so sorry, the dress you wanted just got bought by someone. And Aida is like, pero ¿quién? ¿Quién pudo haber comprado mi vestido?
And of course, at this bridal shop, they only make these one-of-a-kind dresses. So it's like, if there's only one dress, and they don't ever replicate a dress because it's that shop. Of course. And you already know who's wearing it.
You already know.
She walks in and she's like, oh, this dress? Ah.
And she is wearing the heck out of this dress. It's this strapless gown that has these big flowers at the bottom, giving it a small little poof. And Teresa wears it, and Aida is furious at her. But then Teresa is also on this fake friendship mend.
Yeah.
Where she's telling Aida, we're gonna be in each other's lives forever now. So we have to make las paces. We have to be friends for Arturo and your father's sake. And Aida's not buying it.
But from the outsider's perspective, that's what Teresa wants everyone to think, like, oh, I'm the good guy here. I'm trying to make amends. And it's Aida that's being still a bitch. Because, she's never stopped being a bitch.
But also Teresa se pasa.
Con razón. The whole entire time, like, Teresa's owning the room. Even, like, there's, like, certain things that we don't notice. But now that I'm friends with, like, what do you guys, film Twitter? I'm friends with film Twitter. So there's little things like how Teresa is actually like on a higher platform from Aida, so she looks like she's like elevated and she's demanding the room. Of course, Teresa, wherever she goes, she demands the room. I noticed that. I was like, film Twitter. But yeah, like she tells Aida like, oh, I can wear this dress better than you could ever do it. And I wrote down a line that Teresa said because, Teresa, again, I've defended her a lot last episode. I feel like from this point on, it's only going to get worse. I can't defend her anymore, but I just wanted to get into... Anyways. I wrote down this line. She said, si le dejé el novio, ¿por qué no le dejo el vestido?
She's such a savage.
Yeah.
And so, of course, this drives Aida crazy. There's no way she's going to wear the dress now. So now Teresa can go home to Arturo and say, oh, I ran into Aida, and you know what? I left the dress because I'm trying to make las paces. But that dress that Aida wanted, that was probably her top choice, she can never wear now. It's tainted. So Teresa's winning on all fronts here. And while she's telling Arturo the story, she lets it slip that her favorite designer is Vera Chang.
I think Chang.
Which
is like Vera Wang.
Yeah, it's
Novelas.
I actually Googled it. I was like, wait, because I thought that maybe it was like a misnomer and they mispronounced it or something. So anyway, so then Teresa's like, oh, you know, I always dreamed of having a Vera Chang dress. And then Arturo's like, oh, why dream when you can have it? Mi amor. Go get it. And, you know, Teresa's getting what she wants. But this is very, very messed up of Teresa.
Painful.
Because as she's over here making plans over what dress she's gonna buy, her poor madrina has been working tirelessly making Teresa's wedding dress.
And she got so excited, like, oh, like, I'm gonna make this dress. And oh my God, I have to make all the
bridesmaids dresses.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
She's been working her ass off for Teresa.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to root for Teresa, and when she was like, oh, my favorite designer, I really wanted her to say mi madrina, because Juana made her all her clothes. Juana is the reason Teresa fit into the school with rich kids. Now Teresa is completely going over her. And if Teresa would have been upfront from the beginning and been like, actually, we're buying a dress, madrina. Like, just enjoy yourself. Don't make me my dress. She doesn't tell Juana this. She makes Juana work herself tirelessly making dresses that she knows she's not going to wear. And we don't see this yet, but this is going to come up probably in next week's episode. Yeah. So just keep this in the bike rack.
There's so many ways she could have gone about it. Like, I probably would have just been like, ay, madrina, like, I love you and everything you make. But I really want this dress. Like, I would have maybe like asked her to make me a replica, but I know Teresa just would never. Oh. But yeah, she's already brewing up something to make an excuse as to why she's probably not going to wear it.
While this whole wedding planning is happening, Mariano is pining over Teresa. He gets drunk at one point. He like goes looking for her, haciendo un escándalo.
Brings her another mariachi.
It's a mess.
And also the novela has been like alluding and like just dropping Cuernavaca. Like something happened in Cuernavaca that we don't know of. That's what Mariano keeps saying, like, no me puedes hacer esto después de Cuernavaca. Yeah, and like even her mom hears it and she's like, ¿Qué pasó en Cuernavaca? ¿Por qué está diciendo eso? And then Teresa's like, ay mamá, ¿por qué no? And that's true, is like she always sides with Mariano when he's in the wrong sometimes, but I get it.
Yeah, I get it too. But he's being a complete mess. But in one of his encounters to try to win Teresa back, he says, and I think I wrote this down. So he kisses her. Hate this because men are always forcing themselves on women in telenovelas. So he kisses himself, but of course Teresa eventually lets herself be kissed and kisses him back. But then when they break free, he says, you're always gonna love me. The love we have, you can't get rid of. And then Teresa says, cuando el hambre entra por la puerta, el amor sale por la ventana. And then she says, your love will never be enough for me. I need money. So she's rejecting him left and right.
But she always gives him just enough to fuel him to keep going and to keep pursuing her. Because he always says, like, I'm not going to stop chasing after, like, I'm not going to stop until she's married.
Will he? We don't know. That's on Mariano. The last storyline we want to touch is our dear Luisa. So, as we mentioned earlier, Luisa is off in Cancun with Fernando working. And so, Luisa is falling in love. And it's very sweet because Fernando is also falling in love with her. But he's also a mujeriego. And he's been dating models. And apparently his life is tabloid famous. And Luisa would read magazines of him, like with his new, ¿cómo se dice? Escapada? Something like that. Anyway,
we're talking about another word.
so Luisa's like, I know how you are. You know, you're with a different woman all the time. You're with famous people. You're with models.
The whole time she's calling Teresa for advice, and Teresa's like, listen to me, this is what you need to do. And honestly, Teresa's advice worked. So she kind of plays hard to get, and then Fernando eventually realizes that, yeah, like I really do want to pursue and take Luisa seriously. So that happens, but that's kind of like happening in the background. And Arturo doesn't find out about this until he like randomly is like going through a magazine, and it's on a page. It's like Luisa and Fernando in a pool, like making out or something. It's like titled like Playboy Fernando with his new aventura, like something.
So Luisa has a boyfriend, and it's kind of sweet, but it's not gonna last because Teresa wanted to go to Cancun. She wasn't able to go when she wanted to because her mom got sick. But the time has come for Teresa to make her way to Cancun and meet Fernando. So Teresa and Arturo go to Cancun. Arturo calls Fernando and is like, me tienes que felicitar. I am engaged. I'm gonna get married and you're gonna be my testigo. Which I was thinking of weddings when this was happening. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, do I want to have testigos or en madrinas or bridesmaids? But I want testigos and madrinas, I feel like. So basically, you know how in American weddings, bridesmaid, bridal party? Mm-hmm. So testigos is the person who signs like in bodas civiles. And I may be butchering this completely, but from what I understanding, los testigos son the people that they like sign the paper saying I was a witness. They're the witnesses. And madrinas, and they're the people that, for example, like I think I was madrina de lazo for one of my cousin's wedding. So I bought the lazo for the church wedding, and I was like la madrina, and you're the one that presents it. So, like, that's what I want. I want madrinas and padrinos. Yeah, so they start talking about that, and then Arturo's like, of course, you have to come. You're going to be my padrino. Not my padrino. You're going to be my testigo and all this stuff. And so, you know, Arturo's excited. Arturo's happy to have his best friend meet his fiance. So they make their way to Cancun.
Yeah, I'm like, this whole time, it's like, it's chaotic and messy because Arturo's actually really pissed at Fernando for dating his sister because he knows that he's a fuckboy. He just like storms off and like books a flight to Cancun and leaves Teresa, and Teresa finds out, and like that's when she feeds Mariano like, oh, I'm gonna go to Cancun to think about what I need. And like Mariano, like to him it's like, no, she's gonna come back to me. He's like telling everyone, right? And then that's when like Aurora rats Teresa out because she knows. And she's like, no, like, she's actually with Arturo. And then that's when, whatever. Mariano loses it. But yeah, like, Teresa sees the opportunity, like, this is a free Cancun trip. She books it. She, like, upgrades to first class. Before she even, like, when she gets there, she doesn't even call anyone. She kind of just goes to the beach by herself in this little nice bikini. And she actually, of course, because this is how novelas work, she has an alone moment with Fernando. She's like on the beach, like the sun's hitting her, and her hat mysteriously just falls off her head
and right into the feet
of Fernando.
And Fernando picks it up and is like, your hat?
I don't know, but like it's like kind of like the videos of like girls shaking their butts, and it's like then they're like, what color was her shirt? You can't ask me what they said because it's just too steamy. It's like a moment of like he's like eating her with his eyes, and it's just like ugh. But they were being sort of respectful because Teresa was like, I'm waiting for my prometido, and then Fernando's like, I'm waiting for my girlfriend. So like they like kind of se despiden, and
well, before se despiden though,
well, he leaves, but then he like stays and stares at her,
and she puts sunscreen all over her.
Her oily self, moisturized always.
And the way he looks at her, he literally looks like he's in the jungle and is like ready to stalk his prey.
Like his stance is so weird.
Oh my god. And then we flash forward to
everyone's made up already. Arturo and Fernando have talked. Arturo talked to Luisa. Everything's cleared up. And it's set, right? That both couples are at like opposite ends of the room. And Luisa's talking to Arturo and Teresa. And Fernando finally like turns around and like locks eyes with Teresa. And they're like, like, oh my God. And they're like, do you guys know each other? And, you know, that's when they like tell them that they met at the beach briefly. And Fernando says, like, the first thing that he says to Teresa in front of them was like, oh, I've heard so much about you. I've heard you're really smart, but like your beauty, like, you know, you're really beautiful. And I can see that that's true.
Pretty privilege.
I'm like, girl, if my boyfriend said that to another girl in front of me, I'd be like, excuse me? What the hell?
Right.
But he's a playboy, so.
Yeah, and so then Arturo and Teresa kiss. And when they kiss, Fernando stares at them with such intensity and almost jealousy, hate.
Yeah, he played that well, because, you could really see it in his face. I need her. Like, I need to check her off my list, you know, because he's a playboy.
So Teresa and Fernando have met, and despite the appearances that they're gonna keep it respectful.
Speaking of appearances, do you not see the resemblance between him and Arturo? He's just younger.
No, yeah, absolutely. Remember I mentioned in last week's episode that Fernando is basically the playboy version of Arturo?
Oh, okay, yeah, perfect.
So this is setting us up, y'all, because it seems like they're gonna keep it respectful and whatever, but no, they're not. And we're gonna start seeing Teresa at her worst in terms of the way that she won't let anyone stand in her way.
Yeah. So after she had that encounter with Fernando, she said, "Ni que fuera el único hombre del mundo."
Ni que fuera el único hombre del mundo.
Because she knows she can get any guy's attention.
And Fernando comes along and he's going to show us that. So, y'all, Teresa's love life just got a little bit more complicated. And this is all happening right before her wedding. And the drama's just going to get even more intense. We're going to see more of La Hembra Mala. And we're going to see Teresa ram through everyone.
Yeah, this is like Plan C.
Plan C is about to be laid down. And that is where we'll end for this week's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you, Aranza, for joining us again. And we will see you next week, where we will find out why everyone is in Cancun. We're gonna continue seeing Teresa being a horrible human being. And we're just, I'm ready to start hating Teresa even more.
You can't. Yeah, this is the point where I can't defend her anymore, and she just goes off the deep end.
And we have a wedding to attend, so stay tuned for the.
Oh.
Aranza just gave y'all a minor spoiler, kind of. If you know, you know. But yeah, we have a wedding to attend, so stay tuned. We'll see you next week for the Teresa and Arturo wedding. Bye.